Have you noticed this thing in KGF? When the mother and the child die, beyond that white line, it's kind of a bad situation for Rocky. And to showcase this bad situation, some eagles are shown in the movie. And right now, these low-flying eagles are kind of a symbolism for Rocky's life, who is kind of having a low time in his life. But the moment he decides to pick up the heavy hammer, some high-flying eagles are shown in the movie, which are again a symbolism that now Rocky is going to have a good time in his life. Or we can say, just like the eagles, he is going to have a high time in his life. And this is clearly not a coincidence. You can watch the KGF chapter 2 and you will still find the same symbolism over there as well. But this video is all about KGF chapter 1 and why I love this movie so much. Have you seen that legendary scene when Rocky goes to pick up the bun for the poor lady who is trying to pick up the bun from the road? In that scene, we can clearly see his hands are bruised, which is also observed by the man in the KGF mining area. These kind of small details make this movie exceptionally well. And we are not going to talk about the music of this movie because we all know how incredible the music is. Except the fact that in the Kannada version of the movie, Tamanna was there, whereas the Hindi version of the movie, Moni Roy was there. Beyond music, there are so many things this movie is going to offer you. Like the movie builds up from the first scene itself. How Anand Ingalgi comes for the interview, how they talk about the El Dorado and the Shaktishila, and the way the title card comes. Literally every time I watch that title card, I have goosebumps all over my body. Although the movie is about Rocky, but there are so many different characters with so many different ambitions, and all of them are so well written that you actually love them watching on the screen as well. My personal favorite is Anand Ingalgi. The way he narrates the story, it's extremely engaging and extremely thrilling. And you can see the details even for a side character like Anand Ingalgi. He is just like a narrator in this movie, but still have some health issues, due to which in between he starts narrating the story from a very different timeline. One of the strongest aspect of the movie is the cinematography. The scene where Suryavardhan finds the stone, the scene where the coins fall on the ground, Andrews entering in Bombay, Rocky coming out of the police station. Man, he looks so smart in that scene. The scene where they are preparing the map, when Rocky enters the KGF, the way he puts chain in his own neck, guards standing outside the truck. One of my favorites where he brings the food cart, and the scene where he actually saves the old man. Now these were only few scenes from the movie which were clearly cinematic, and they were a treat to watch. They were so good looking shots that each and every frame can be placed as a wallpaper. Now I've seen a lot of people complain about the character of Rocky, that it's just like another South Indian movie where the hero beats hundreds of men. But over here I would like to talk about the character of Rocky. Rocky's character is weak in English because of course he has never went to school. This is also showcased in the scene where he meets the beggar.
पावर है, तू ही पैसा है।
पावर कहाँ मिलेगा?
And because he is weak in English, he thinks like, oh, power is some sort of a tool or some sort of a person where he can go and find that. Rocky is a person who is very good with kids. But when he was a kid, he clearly stated that he wants the whole world, which we actually see in the scene where Andrews offers him the whole Bombay. But on the same moment, he understood that Bombay is a very small thing for him. He clearly wants to know how deep is the ocean. And even if Rocky is weak in English, but he is clearly a very smart person. When Garuda was coming, he knew that he will come from the smaller road. He researched and understood that everyone is working under Garuda. The club scene as well, where he puts all the people into their places. He brings the petrol truck as well. He shows everyone over there that who he is. And by doing this, he also brings Raj Desai to the club, which is actually a very smart move to do. He solved two problems with a single move. He clearly had the chance to kill Garuda, but he waited so that he can understand about the powerful place of KGF. He claims that he doesn't care about the misery of the people, but he clearly feels extremely bad when something like that happens. He counts those 6 seconds of the guard jeeps which go through the tunnel and again waits for 6 seconds so that he can attack at the right moment. He wants to know the full map of KGF. For that, he creates a panic, enters the locker room and gathers all the information. And not only that, he practices throwing rope and stone so that later on he can actually through the copper wire. These are all the instances which show that Rocky is just not a muscular or powerful man. He is extremely smart and he goes for his brain most of the time. Next thing which I love about this movie is the entry scenes. The entry of Rocky as a kid when he actually raises his hand. The legendary scene when he comes out of the car. In all the entry scenes, there is one thing in particular which is common. That the reaction of people before the entry and after the entry is completely different. The shock on the people's faces clearly makes the entry scenes worth to watch. Again, one of my favorite where he comes out of the police station. The monster scene where he enters the club. The epic cinematic scene where he enters the KGF with bike. And man, that old man when he narrates that story. I have literally watched that scene hundreds of times. Which goes to show that even the dialogues are so good, so authentic, which makes the scene even better. And the movie levels up in a very, very good way. At the start, we think that Shetty is a very big deal. Then in front of Andrews, Shetty is nothing. And then in front of Garuda, Andrews starts sweating. Which makes you think that, okay, Garuda is a very, very big deal. But then comes the climax scene, which I think is one of the best climax scenes of all time. The build-up is so good that not only the characters in the movie, but we as audience also don't know what is going to happen. And I have seen nothing like the climax of KGF where villain has never seen the hero. He doesn't even know about him. And even the scene where he kills Garuda, his face is completely covered with wet hair. And with a single strike takedown, the villain is gone. The whole movie builds up to Garuda that he is a big deal and all, but Rocky kills him with a single strike. And even I gave the same reaction just like that reporter ma'am. These are the things which make KGF so great. But I love Prashant Neel so much that he actually reads history to make such great stories. For example, KGF itself is a real place and Prashant Neel has taken inspiration from that. The old story of El Dorado, which is commonly associated with the legend of Gold City. In the movie, they talk about that gold is found with a coincidence. For example, the story of John Deason, who actually found the world's biggest gold nugget while he was just searching for timber. Even some small lines in the movie that you cannot create history by making a blueprint, which is actually very, very true. When you plan for doing something, you face multiple problems in between and you kind of make new plans in between of that whole path. These are some small things which make Prashant Neel a phenomenal writer. And of course, I would not say that the movie is perfect. Like the scene where the mother is playing with the children, all the shots have different kids in that, which is actually a very small error which doesn't even matter. Yes, some of the dialogues were quite funny and the girl who dubbed Reena's character is extremely annoying. And Adhira in the first movie looks like Manoj Tiwari. But these are some very small things which I think will not matter in the long run. Once the world building starts in the KGF, from there on the movie becomes better and better. And the last and the most important thing of this video is the character of mother. In the first glance, everyone feel like Rocky is the main character of the movie, but of course not. Rocky's mother is the strongest character in the movie and she is like a kingmaker. Even if she was so weak when she was living her own life, but even while going, she made some decisions which are the sole reasons that why Rocky is so powerful. And he is just not powerful physically, he is a mentally powerful person, all because of his mother. So this was the whole video about KGF and why I love this movie so much. And if you guys want me to discuss the chapter 2 in the same way, please tell me in comments.